Manchester City are cheating. They have got 115 charges against them. I'm sick of it. It's disgusting. They're cheating in this competition. It's the only reason they are where they are. No other club would do this. Football fans are crying left, right and rhubarb about Manchester City and their methods in which they've risen to the top. It's not just specifically Goldbridge, it's Liverpool fans, it's Arsenal fans, the list goes on and on. It's boring and they're wrong, and I'll tell you why. Make sure to hit subscribe or Goldbridge will start crying about you next. People need to quit their crying because I don't think they've watched enough South Park. They haven't listened to Eric Cartmenez enough.
He's won 3 Super Bowls. How? He cheated. He even got caught cheating, and nobody cared. It's okay to cheat, as long as you cheat your way to the top.
They don't know the way to win, and the way to win is to cheat. How do I reach these kids? It's not even kids, it's fucking 40-year-old men as well, moaning about City every day. Shut up. All of these big clubs are built off of doing that in different periods. It's just that no one gives a shit because it was in the dinosaur ages. Whether your club built what they built because they brought loads of amazing trench footballers compared to teams that are buying these amazing ballers now in today's age when there's social media, there's more TV deals, there's everything, more and more people seeing it, there's more eyes on the sport, there's more money in the sport, so they get bigger and better and more global because of the reach of football itself. They've just done it at a better time. And you're bitter about it. You're all bitter about it. That's it. That's all. That is honestly all it is. At the root of it, look within your soul, look within your heart, and just be like, why do I actually hate it? Do I hate it because they cheated, or do I hate it because it wasn't us? Do I hate it because I'm not watching my team do that? Be real. Do you know what makes me hate City? I wish we had Pep. I wish we had with that bald bastard. To be fair, we've actually hired Pep Guardiola as manager that currently, so I shouldn't be too silly about that. We have actually hired Pep Guardiola if you squint your eyes enough. But the case remains, the last few years, I would have liked Pep. That would have been cool. He's very good. I'd have liked to have won everything like they did. In fact, I don't think people realise, and this is someone speaking from experience as a fan of a club where people cry about all this sort of stuff with Roman for years, etc. It tastes better. I think it tastes better with tears. Do you know what I mean? Like a little bit of salt on the meal. It's seasoning. It's lovely seasoning. It doesn't count because they know. Oh, it does. Oh, it does. Oh, it does. What? I'm supposed to go, oh no, Drogba's pen, this doesn't count because billionaire bad. Oh yeah, there's loads of good fucking billionaires in the world. They're all lovely. I'm sure they're all great and completely pure. We all want Mr. Nice from the Mr. Men books, but with billions of pounds. Yeah, but look, they did this with FFP and they funded this with their advertisement. Yes, but the way to win is to cheat. We have to cheat to win, guys. Come on. Wake up. Cheaters win, alright? You're a loser if you're not cheating. Now, the biggest issue I have with all this is that the foundations of every single club up and down the Premier League, the big ones that existed before money. Look, I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm very aware of where we came from. I'm very aware that we wouldn't be where we are without Roman Abramovich. Obviously, that's our most successful era. As it is for every club. I mean, know the history of your own clubs, guys. These melts online complaining about all this, about City, Chelsea, whatever, they've done it for years. They have no actual knowledge of their own club. They don't know that a club like Arsenal bought their way into being what they were. Their most successful era was in the 1930s. And in the 1920s, they were setting the British transfer record. And in the 1930s, they were setting the British transfer record again. This is what these clubs do. They just did it years ago, so no one gives a shit. And no one's going to give a shit in 70 years about how City did it, about how Chelsea did it, because it was ages ago, and that's the point. The reason these teams have a problem with it is because it's a threat, and because they've actually done it better. They did it at a time when football's bigger. And what I mean by that is actually a comparison you can make between two really big clubs that, again, they established a history. They didn't just spawn in with better players than everyone else. Back in the day, they spent a bit more than everyone else, and they could win. But Liverpool and Manchester United. Now, if you actually look at the trophy haul of both clubs, Liverpool's is way better. United might have another league title over Liverpool. Liverpool have 3 Champions Leagues over Manchester United. Any sane football fan is taking what Liverpool have won over what Manchester United have won. But who does everyone consider bigger? They consider Manchester United bigger. Of course they do. Because Manchester United have done it in more recent history as football's been bigger and better on a more global scale. And that's why there's more globality about that club. Like, has anyone ever thought of that? United seems bigger, but Liverpool have a better trophy haul, but it doesn't fucking matter because United did it then. United did it when it mattered more. Liverpool did it a bit further back. They've had a nice period recently, but for a long period, for 30 odd years, no Premier League, one Champions League, they weren't doing what they did before, whereas United were doing it in an era where it was more reached globally. Now, how were Manchester United doing that? Well, again, they were smashing transfer records. They were spending very heavily in the 90s, more than anyone else. Blackburn tried to challenge them in terms of spending. They did, and they won the league. Chelsea came in, we blew the competition out of the water, because United had more or less a monopoly on the Premier League. Arsenal had 3 Premier League titles, so you could argue a bit of a duopoly, because, you know, Arsenal, they got their success from the 1930s, building their club from the base there. And Chelsea came along, we did it later. And we did it bigger and better. We did it with winning a Champions League, winning Europa Leagues, whatever, and overtook Arsenal in the process. Again, that's another one that they love to cry about us. We have an issue with that. And oh, yeah, but it's Romans' money, or it's money from Abu Dhabi, it's whatever. You all want a billionaire. Shut up. Let's actually be real for a second. Want to be the most morally pure person in the world? Okay, sure. But if you're a fan of a football club, that is your dream. An owner can take you to memories you'll only ever dream of. I've seen my club win it all. I wouldn't change it for the world. The only thing I'd change is I'd maybe bring him back. I'd bring back the Russian. Like, genuinely, no one could take that away from me. Memory-wise, no one could take anything away from me. All those memories of Drogba in Munich, Havertz in Porto, whatever, that he'd established and he'd given us as a football fan, I will cherish that forever. And to be honest, other than rivals, I'd kind of wish that for any other football fan, to go and experience that stuff. If Barnsley get some oligarch in, and then they go right to the top, and they're winning Champions League, whatever, enjoy it, Barnsley fans. Enjoy the ride, and I'm sure you would, as anyone would. I know people want to pretend like they wouldn't, whatever, you would. And that's, again, the thing I want to touch on here is memories. Because what do people want from this with City? What do people want? I know they're attacking the Premier League at the moment, and they're going to get hit with their charges. People want them stripped of the titles. Okay, let's say they strip them of the titles, right? A Liverpool or Arsenal fan's going to go around celebrating, oh no, we won the league that year, we came second. We all saw it. We all saw it. We all saw City winning leagues. We all saw Pep's team be the best Premier League team in history. They've done 4 in a row. They've won 6 of the last 7. They've played fantastic football. They've broken points records, goals scored, whatever. They've won a treble. We've all seen it with our eyes. What, we're all going to erase, we're all going to Men in Black it and erase our memories and go, no, Liverpool won the league that year. No, we're not. No one's doing that. No one's doing that. Liverpool aren't having bus parades. I see Klopp still crying about it. No one's having bus parades about finishing second, because we all saw it. We all saw City win the league, and you're not going to erase that, even if you strip them of their titles. And more importantly, you're not going to erase the memories of City fans. I'm sure City fans don't give a shit. Whatever happens now, they've seen it all. They've seen it all, and they've seen their team be the best team in the world for a number of years. They've seen the team win everything that they want to win in incredible style, and you're not going to Men in Black everyone. Their memories aren't going to be wiped, and neither are yours. It's not going to help anyone in that sense. Why do I think they're not wrong? I think they're not wrong because I think they did it at a later time, and that's why a lot of the old teams didn't like it. And that's what FFP is here. FFP is here because the Real Madrids, Barcelona's, Manchester United's, Liverpool's, Arsenal's, etc. It's brought in because of teams like Chelsea and City. They didn't want any more competition. They want to gatekeep who the big teams are. They didn't want this to be the case, that there'll be more, and Newcastle could be one of them. Newcastle want to spend, and they can't spend like they can. Owners being denied their right to spend the money that's theirs. That in itself I find nuts. If someone buys a business, are they told, like, no, you can't invest that? No, that has to be limited. Why? It's theirs. They can do what they like with it. If they want to spend whatever, crack on. It's their business. It's completely their business. And yeah, it's unfortunate some of the teams don't have that sort of financial backing. But if a Newcastle is lucky enough to have owners that have passed the test, whatever you think about morality within this, the Premier League have allowed them in. And if they've allowed them in, why shouldn't they be able to crack on? They've passed their all well and good test. So what's the issue here? The issue is that they don't actually want competition. They want it gatekept. And like I said, this is where FFP has come in. Now, with FFP, have City completely complied by that? That remains to be seen in terms of how these charges unfold. But what I would say about FFP, something that's introduced to keep the purity of football, that's what it's here for, right? Let's not let any of these new clubs establish themselves and become new big giant corporations that are seen on a global scale within football. Let's limit that. Let's use FFP to keep them down. It still means Manchester United could spend $1 billion in the last decade, and that's fine because they could turn that over because of the money they've spent in the past. That means they are where they are. That's fine. But the ones that are newer, we don't like that. Don't let them invest. Okay, so FFP comes about, teams look for loopholes, and recently my club Chelsea were in the news because we actually evaded being over 100 million in debt last year, I believe it was, because we managed to sell some hotels and car parking space to a sister company. Dodgy, but allowed. EFL clubs banned it a few years ago because there were a number doing that. The Premier League didn't take any notice of it. Chelsea have seen that loophole and they've gone, cool. And another loophole that's been utilised by Chelsea, not that I completely agree with it because I don't want to lose these kind of players, is the use of homegrown sales because it counts as pure profit. Now, if you want to know about something that's stupid, beyond stupid, think of last year. Chelsea buy Mason Mount, 60 million. They buy Nkunku, 60 million. Mount counts as 60 million on the sheets. He counts as 60 million pure profit. It came from the academy. All of that counts as that. And Nkunku, I can't remember the length of his deal. Let's say it's 7. We've been given 7 and 8 year deals left, right, and rhubarb. We'll count it as that, right? So Nkunku, 7 years, 60 million. He's going to be looking at around just under 9 million on the balance sheet for that year. That's stupid. That's stupid. As much as it's a loophole, that shows it's flawed. Why are we encouraging the sales of homegrown players? Because for that financial year, it looks good for these clubs. It sets those clubs up well. FFP encourages teams to sell their homegrown players because it looks better on a balance sheet. That in itself is a big flaw that needs looking at. I know everyone wants to look at City, look at whatever. If you want to keep the purity of football, surely you want homegrown players playing for their clubs. And that's everyone across the land. Feel like one of your own. I mean, Spurs had a song with Harry Kane, one of their own. We sing about Reece James, whatever. Fans want to see their own academy players prosper. Of course they do. They don't want to have an incentive to sell them. And that's what's actually led, really, to City losing a player like Cole Palmer. Look, the guy wanted to go, he wanted to play first-team football, but at the same time, they could have kept him and been like, oh, okay, let's try and ship another player. Oh, Grealish, we're not really going to get that £100 million back. It's going to look bad on the balance sheet. We're probably better off selling Palmer. That's probably how they weighed it up in the business room. As much as Cole Palmer's opinion would have an influence, naturally, they would have also looked at the fact that they get 40 million straight, and it's incentivized them to sell a homegrown player that's gone on to flourish. That in itself is broken, and that's come about because they don't want these new teams to prosper. They don't want more big clubs. You know, an ideal Super League for Real, Barca, etc. is a couple of Italian clubs, them, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, whatever. Like, even back in the day, the way we talk about football now in the Premier League, we talk about the big 6 or the top 6. Growing up, it was the big 4. Why did it go from 4 to 6? Well, I'll tell you why it went from 4 to 6. Because at 4, when it was Arsenal, United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs joined the conversation. Harry Redknapp did very well, and City did because of money. But why just add them in? Well, add them in because Liverpool fell off a cliff, and they had Konchesky and Hodgson and Kyriakos. But they need to be in the conversation because that's bad for branding if one of the big clubs looks shit. Like, everything is geared to protect those clubs. And as much as City may have broken laws, we don't know yet. We don't know. Yeah, there's loads of charges. They might beat all the charges. They're going against the Premier League now. They're suing them. That's just a delaying tactic for this whole incident to be cleared up. I don't really know. But it's good to challenge these things. And it might bring about actual potential change that's positive in terms of FFP. Because, like I said, incentivizing the sales of homegrown players, I just find nuts. And no one really talks about that enough. That's a big problem within football. My club's exploiting that. That's supposedly to my club's benefit, and it's not right. But I'm just sick and tired of everyone crying about City, when realistically, whatever they've done, let's see what happens. 2, it's not going to change anything for your club. It's not going to change anything. You didn't win the league in those years. You didn't win... I'm not going to sit there, right, and celebrate the 2019 Carling Cup and celebrate the fact that Kepa refused to come off and actually won us the game because City by default have it stripped away from them. So therefore, we've won another try. I couldn't give a shit. We didn't win it. We didn't win it. We lost. City won it. We all saw them lift it. Maybe not everyone, because not everyone's watching the Carling Cup, but whatever. And it's the same with all those other competitions. You're not going to erase people's memories at all. You're going to question maybe the methodology at which they did it. You're not going to question what you saw on the pitch. They were fantastic. We've seen some fantastic players come through City. We've seen the best coach in the world, arguably best manager of all time, do what he's done. And no one's going to take that away from them. Or us. We're not going to forget it either. Honestly, whatever City are found guilty or not guilty of, we'll see. But can everyone just stop crying for a minute and actually look within and realise why they're crying? You're not crying because they're cheating. You're crying because you're not. That's what it is. Let's call a spade, okay? I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing the tears every day. Every day crying. It's like when your team, when you think of how you want to win a trophy, right? I'm not even taking the piss. Smashing Arsenal in Europa in Baku was great, 4-1. It was brilliant. But do you know what might have been better? A 1-0 handball in the last minute that we got away with. That would be even better. I'd rather do it like that. I'd rather boil the piss and enjoy the win more. That's what football's about. That is honestly what football is about. It's not about, oh, this is pure, this is impure. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's people, I don't even know if they don't know about their clubs and how they're established, or it's just a case of blissful ignorance. But it's not pure. You just did it years ago, and other teams are doing it now, and you have a problem with it. And okay, yeah, there's rules of FFP come in, but you don't even have a problem with how flawed the rules are. You have a problem with the fact that someone might find a loophole with it, or someone's benefited by, you know, tweaking those rules and being like, oh yeah, Etihad, that's a big deal. We're going to offer you £4 billion. Like, they played the game. It's all about the game and how you play it. Triple H said that, or he didn't say that. Motorhead sang that in Triple H's theme. But, you know, it is the game. The game is the game, okay? What you think? Do you think people are crying too much about City? Am I perhaps being unfair? Am I just saying this because I'm a Chelsea fan? I would like to say no, although it is slightly. I would also say that, you know, I have pointed out the flaws within FFP that benefit us, but I'm pointing them out because I think they're flawed, and I think that should be attacked. We could have won a Carabao Cup. We didn't. It is what it is. So I don't think I'm being overly unfair in this. I'm just kind of sick of this continuous crying I'm seeing on social media, left, right, and rhubarb with everything. Literally everything to do with City in these charges. 115, whatever. They beat you. They beat you. We all watched it. They were very good. They were class. They're the best. That's what they are. So, you know, get on with it. Get on with it. Try and mud them anyway. You know what do you know what the Chelsea did when Chelsea had to play City in the Champions League? We mudded them. We just mudded them. And it wasn't even some fluke. We mudded them in FA Cup the month before. We mudded them in the Premier League the month before. We mudded them 3 times in a month because that's what we do. Stop crying and get on with it. Pull your socks up. You know, all that old stuff, all that old good stuff. Honestly, get your act together. It's not City's fault you bottled the league. It's not City's fault that Saka missed a pen or Ramsdale kicked it to a Southampton player. That's not City's fault. It's not. It's not City's fault last year that Arsenal lost to Fulham away, or they drew at home to 10-man Fulham, or they got battered at home to West Ham. It's not on City. You can still overcome them, as Liverpool proved. And equally, in years before, it's not City's fault. You didn't win. There was a better team. That's what it was. That's what football is. So, quit your snitching. Quit your pocket watching. Look at yourselves. Look yourselves in the mirror. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the whole City situation, of all this sort of stuff. What do you make of us selling hotels to sister companies? Is that dodgy? Probably yes. But we're allowed to do it, so we're going to do it. But yeah, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps me a lot. Yeah. Up the Chelsea.